incredible 3 weeks and an exhausting 3 weeks, and a bittersweet moment, I'm sure, for students, TAs, mentors, organizers, everyone. But it's really my pleasure to be able to kick off this final wrap-up session in which we are celebrating NMA and everything that everyone involved has really built together during this time. Okay, so to start, we're going to start with some of the highlights from the projects for this time zone. And it was really incredible to be able to go through all of those earlier today and see all the amazing progress and ideas that you guys have brought to fruition. So we had 150 submissions for time zone 3, and we're going to highlight a kind of random sampling of 9 of them here, just so you can see the full breadth of things that you guys have created. Okay, so the first one that we're showing here is from the group of classy bears, and these bears were classifying working memory performance using the HCP data set. And they had a very interesting question, which is they wanted to find out which brain areas were not just activated in a task, but actually were predictive of performance, because you could imagine brain areas being activated, but not necessarily correlating trial by trial with performance. So they took the HCP data from the 336 subjects in the working memory task, and they built a predictive model of accuracy. And what they found here were which sets of regions had predictive power. And you can see that here with these ones that are elevated in red means activation in those regions means better performance. And they were able to get out these nice frontoparietal networks, which kind of conforms with what you might think about which brain areas are involved in working memory. And so a lot of their analyses went very well, from PCA, GLM, plotting, time management, et cetera, and they got a lot out of it. And if they had more time, they would have gone even deeper into understanding these phenomena. So very nice project. Okay, the next one we have here is from Las Conejas Malas. This group, the previous group I should mention was from the USA. This one was quite spread out. It's from Chile, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela. And they were working here with the Steinmetz data set. And what they were interested in was when you could decode choice in terms of left versus right incorrect trials from different parts of the brain as a function of time. And so they built a sliding window classifier to look at different time points in different brain areas. And what they found, they were able to calculate these traces of a sliding window decoder at specific time points for all the different brain areas. And their main conclusion was actually they were able to decode this choice signal from many brain areas, and it didn't really follow a very clean progression in time. These choice signals were widespread and arose quite early, not necessarily following their a priori hypothesized cascade. So they got some insight into that. The third one I'm going to show here is from a group called OCD Wombats. They were in Mexico, and they were also analyzing the Steinmetz data set. And they were interested in whether they could fit models to visual and motor behavior, and then study the effect of kind of virtual lesions and how that may impact decoding of these signals. And what was very cool about this project is that they built a very nice kind of video walking us through their entire presentation, where they showed the whole process of how they were brainstorming, coming up with different ideas, refining their hypotheses, meeting with their TA and mentor in order to design that and come up with not only the scientific hypothesis, but what specific analysis should be based on it. And in this case, they were building multiple regression models to predict neural activity from the stimulus, but also motor cortical activity from the choice, and then looking at the effect of simulated lesions in order to simulate the effect of breaking certain neurons or certain connections and how that may impact the readout of choice signals. And they were looking whether they could decode both visual sensory signals as well as motor signals. You can see here the accuracy declining as a function of the strength of the virtual lesion. Okay. And so there we go. Okay, who's next?
That's me. I'm going to be talking to you about the next 3 projects. So the first project that I will highlight here is from the pod Truthful Inchworms, aka number 404 errors. And they were looking at the data sets with fMRI. I don't actually know whether it's the K data set or the HPC, but I guess we'll get to that in a second. And they were trying to decode task stimulus from fMRI bold time series.
This was HCP.
HCP, there you go. And their mentor was actually our own Aina Pus. So this group evaluated the degree of distributed processing across brain regions during the HCP motor task. Task conditions were decoded from fMRI bold time series using PCA and logistic regression. And they trained 3 models on task-specific motor parcels, on task general non-motor parcels, and on the whole brain, so on all parcels. And they cross-validated prediction accuracy of the task, and it was highest for the model trained on the motor parcels, where they achieved 97% accuracy. With only non-motor parcels, model accuracy dropped to 71%, still well above chance. And even non-motor parcels carry information about the task. Predictions with whole brain activity were comparable using only motor parcels at around 95%. So there was no additional advantage of using the whole brain. For the future, they are wondering whether there is a role of task general regions in task-related activity. The next project that we're highlighting here is from the 7 cats that presents natural image fMRI decoding. They asked whether they can predict voxel activation from the features of an image. And they did this by using a chain of transformations, first doing a PCA and then Gabor filters. They tried to predict brain activation with a GLM. Here you see how the images were transformed with Gabor filters of various frequencies and then recombined. I think it's from the previous slide, sorry. Look at the cat pictures before and after the transformation. So now the question is, can they actually predict class labels accurately? The answer is actually they could do pretty well. They also mapped voxel weights according to categories so that they can visualize what parts of the visual system respond to different kinds of images. Some structure there, which is promising. Finally, they have a slide where they highlight what they enjoyed and what they maybe didn't enjoy so much. So they really enjoyed collaborating with Colab. They built and trained the GLM, but it was too slow to finish. I think it's a common remark there. They used logistic regression, and they figured out that Python is much better at estimating time to run compared to MATLAB, which is a great takeaway message here. And they also suspect that the industry is filled with rainbows and candy, although there was disagreement on this point. So if you're interested in this project, I can highly recommend their YouTube video. It was unfortunately too long to show here, but that's also really, really cool. And the next projects focus on modeling gamma oscillations. They are from Mexico, Argentina, and Venezuela. They did a theory project to model gamma oscillations using coupled excitatory and inhibitory Hodgkin-Huxley models. And here they show how these oscillations emerge, and here they show the stickies from their brainstorming sessions, showing connections between the ideas they considered. Next, they showed that they were able to show the interspike intervals change linearly with time constants, and you can see that above a whole population of spiking neurons. It's gratifying that even though they had so many topics to choose from in NMA, they were able to pick one and ultimately implement models that initially seemed really daunting.
Okay, I think I'm next, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna change my hat. So the first project I'm going to talk about is from a group called Mind Readers. And they wanted to see if it is possible to predict the stimulus orientation from neural activity, and how does running speed affect this. My hat doesn't want to stay on my head. So what they did is that they looked at, they used a simple linear, sorry, one second. Next slide, actually. So they used a simple linear regression model to decode the stimulus orientation and running speed. It was actually very easy, apparently, to decode the stimulus orientation, as it turns out, and they did find some evidence of overfitting. Next slide. They then actually did some dimensionality reduction on their data and look at the PC space and try to see if they can decode orientation in the decode the running speed in the PC space. And they could do it above chance, like at 32%. They don't think that's actually too impressive, but it was above chance. So accuracy actually was extremely high when they tried to classify between running and not running. They took it one step further, next slide, and they actually found out some really interesting interaction between the two factors. They found that they could decode orientation with higher accuracy when the mouse was moving, suggesting that there was more information in the neural data and during the movement, actually. So that was kind of a very nice package of putting together lots of things that they learned. So I was actually impressed by that. Okay, the next project was from a group called Pastoral Network of Beagle Spikes. Beagle Spikes. Yeah, Pastoral Network of Beagle Spikes. So they looked at Steinman's data set, trying to understand if the activity of superior colliculus has a relationship with the mouse choice. To do this, they used the Poisson GLM to predict the spiking activity in the superior colliculus from the observed mouse behavior derived from the wheel that the mouse was running on. So they also did some interesting stuff. So they tried to remove the influence, the neural influence from other regions. So they included in their model the first principal component of activity of other regions in the neural data sets, and with like a lag of 50 milliseconds. And they also added the trial type ipsilateral versus contralateral movement to their model. Interestingly, the variance explained increased with each additional component they added to their model, and the predictability also kind of significantly increased. They next looked at which factors in the model explained the superior colliculus activity better. So apparently the wheel had the largest contribution to the model, and interestingly, the prior activity from the midbrain reticular nucleus had the second largest contribution. So they say this suggests that there could be a direct influence of MRN on superior colliculus firing, and they are noting, very well done, that they've learned that using a lag predictor is not a causal analysis. So that's very well done. Nice incorporation of, again, multiple things that they have learned across NMA. Very, very, very good work. The next group, what is that? Rage Against the Mice. That's an interesting name. It deserves a big hat, actually.
So many hats.
Okay, so
Showing off at this point.
Wait, time out, quick time out. This is amazing. What is going on over here?
Okay.
No one told me that there was a multi-hat option.
Project time. Okay. This group used Steinman's data to infer wheel rotation from the spiking activity. They were interested in it because they think this is a good starting point for brain-computer interface. Nice forward thinking. So they tried several analyses. They peristimulus time histogram, regression, cross-validation, nonlinear dimensionality reduction. That's quite amazing. And during this process, they learned a lot about identifying confounding factors. And they learned that it is sometimes very, very hard to isolate information about the question you want to answer from the data you have. And I have to say that this is exactly what we want you all to actually learn from these projects, because as much as neuroscience is fascinating, it can be really hard because there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of things to consider, and we really know very little. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I'm done.
Who's next? Beth?
Sorry, forgot to unmute. It's only been how many weeks of doing this? Zoom every day. So that was a great summary of all of the amazing projects that all of you guys did. And just want to take a minute to say congratulations to everybody who completed a project from all of us. You know, it was a lot of work and you definitely showed how hard you worked. Now I'm going to take off my hat for that and put on my managed community hat and talk a little bit about what makes, first we're going to talk about a poll. How many hats does Miriam have? So this is part of what makes NMA so great. It's the community. It's you all participating. And as you can see here, 180 of you participated and half of you thought Miriam had 200 hats. Miriam,
I'm not going to disclose that information. It's proprietary.
Fair enough. Okay, so somewhere between 20 and 200 probably, I think is a good estimation. So going back to how history has been made by NMA existing, and that is you all, the students. So we have here, we asked for people to take pictures of their pods, and all of you did, and not all, but we are happy to see so many faces of all of you wonderful students and TAs. Some of these pictures have mentors, just everyone joining in on this community to learn neuroscience, to grow the field, to grow your own knowledge, to grow the knowledge of people who are maybe a little bit older, maybe your mentors, maybe other faculty. You guys are what makes this so amazing. And NMA is such an incredible community, and you guys have come up with amazing ways to show your creativity and your talent. One of my favorite ways is the kind of pod logo. I'm not going to call it a competition because there's no winners or losers here. They're all so amazing, but it just kind of took off. And I mean, there are animals here I've never heard of before, and that's pretty amazing to begin with. But Truthful Bloodhound is one of my favorites. Jolly Mastodon. Just kudos to everyone who thought to make your pod identity into something that you could share with the whole community. And next slide. And other people contributed to the art as well. So it was students, TAs, and mentors. And we tried, this is different than summer schools some of you might have been to. I know a lot of people have come here from your kind of traditional summer school where you all go out and live in a dorm for 3 weeks and don't sleep. And now it is, hey, stay in your house and stare at your own computer screen for 3 weeks. And there might be a little something missing from that. Or you might have taken a giant online class, a MOOC, either for course credit or for whatever, where you're working by yourself. And so we are trying to inject a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. And one of the ways that we did that to make this a unique and hopefully fulfilling experience for you, and was fulfilling for us as organizers to see, is the student life, the social interactions that we just created a space for you, and you guys really made your own. And one of the great ways to visualize it is from this Mozilla Hubs Hangouts, which doesn't terrify me at all, having a giant amorphous Santa Claus coming at you in 3D space. Okay, next slide. We also wanted to stress, please don't just sit in front of your computer for 12 to 16 hours a day. Get your body moving, take care of your body to take care of your mind. So we had some wonderful volunteers with the NMA organization who said, why don't we can offer yoga. We were just going to offer videos. And they were like, no, let's do this live. Let's come together. And you guys really ran with it. And the final one, we also had karaoke, which somehow does work over the internet. The sound quality is okay. But it was really a lot of fun, and I hope that you guys had a lot of fun doing it. And just want to say once again, you guys are amazing, and I'm just in awe at the community that you guys have brought up around this.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Beth. Unfortunately, I only have one hat. One real hat. All of my other hats are beanies, obviously, because I live in Canada. So I'm gonna try this one on. Yeah, totally appropriate in July. So we're really overwhelmed with floods of information, all of us, both inside of NMA, the TAs, the students, the mentors. So I just wanted to have a few slides about this. So on Twitter, we saw many of you express a lot of good feelings, a lot of less good feelings also, because we know that it was a really intensive summer school. But in the end, I feel like, especially as projects came around, NMA like really came into its own as this kind of unique experience in which we can all learn computational neuroscience. Just to give you an idea of what it was like inside, every morning we would wake up to, oftentimes hundreds of messages. Well, I did, because many other organizers were in Europe. So I would wake up in North America to often hundreds of messages, and we had 200 volunteers at our peak that were messaging every day inside of Slack. So yeah, up to about 5,000 messages a day. Now, what I would really have loved is if slide 41 was the slide where I show you a fake conversation that was made from training a neural net. Unfortunately, I didn't get to it, but I think that's left as an exercise to the reader. But just to give you an idea of how fast this actually grew, it started as an idea between the original organizing committee on April 4th, and it was really I first heard about it on April 13th, actually on Twitter from Conrad, and that's when I got onboarded. Diversity got onboarded right after, in addition to the fundraising. And by May 20th, we had our first actual content. And most of the content actually came in during the month of June, which is the month that sleep forgot. For many of us around here, especially people in the Waxers team, I think especially suffered there. So yeah, it was amazing to see that we actually shipped. I was very happy about that. Yay! So we want to celebrate the community that we've built here, the volunteers and the teams that have been created, and all of you also are participants, and everything that we've been able to do. So let's talk a bit about who we are as people. So there's a tremendous amount of diversity inside of NMA, which is something that we're really proud of. We really built this community so that it would be as inclusive as possible, especially for people that might not traditionally have access to computational neuroscience education. And one of the ways in which we did that is through language. So we had pods in 13 different languages apart from English, including French, which is my first language. So I'm happy about that. But that really helped, I think, participants being able to participate in their language of choice. We captioned all the videos. We had 3 subtitle languages total, and importantly, we had a very balanced gender, especially compared to both the field at large, and also to conventional summer schools. And I think that's a great win. So the people that were able to make this happen, so let's talk about them. There were many across a very large number of sometimes chaotic, but always fun communities and committees. So from left to right, we had the diversity committee that was headed by Brad Wiebel. We had the student and observer committee headed by Ina Poos, a projects organization. We did matching, which was a great occasion to match you all for interests. And we had an entire committee that was dedicated to just reaching out people in different regions of the world that might not be traditionally represented, including Alex Heifel and Yoda. And we're very thankful that they were able to do this reach out. We had a lot of technical stuff going on, so that was kind of my neck of the woods, and that was a lot of fun. I see in particular Tara with her entire village of captioners and video editors that grew out of creating these 20 hours of videos that we have captioned and edited right now, as well as really excellent people that we worked on in data that worked to gather all the data for the projects. We also assembled a team. I'm sure that you that many of you have encountered Carson and Kate and Gunnar. Of course, I see that Gunnar is here, and that put together this incredible team of TAs and trained them to offer you this education, as well as our very large team of lead TAs. We have 25 of them, actually, just coordinating all of this computational neuroscience education. And I think that was my last slide.
All right, I think it's my turn.
That's right. Thank you.
And thank you, Patrick. I'm gonna go ahead and start off. I want to introduce you guys to my friend. This is Tommy. Some of you may have met Tommy at the beginning of the initial meeting when some of you spied him on my bookshelf. The reason he's named Tommy is because he's named after Thomas Hobbes. And Thomas Hobbes was an English philosopher who said that life is nasty, Brutus, and short. So it certainly was for Tommy, because he died in the La Brea tar pits in California some tens of thousands of years ago. But inspired by Miriam, I've decided that Tommy could be a hat. And so we're going to go ahead and see how that goes for the rest of the presentation. So
hats off to Tommy.
So Tommy and I would like to tell you about, I actually feel like I have one of the most fun parts of the presentation, because I get to tell you about all of the people that were involved in this project. And it was really amazing, because along with Patrick and some of the other people who are on this call, I got involved pretty early when it was just a handful of people with a dream, and to see so many people get involved and really engage with this, it's a really mind-blowing experience. So here's just on the mentorship side, we had 190 TAs, 245 mentors. As you can look at these maps, we really had coverage around the world. I think we can do even better next time around. We can make that entire map purple. I'm looking at you, Greenland. But I think we made a really strong start, and I'm really excited about what we were able to accomplish. Next slide. So here's the TAs, and this is just gonna slide. This slide's just gonna roll through. These are the people that took all the students through the experience, and I think went through a big experience themselves. It's the, we recognize from the very beginning that the only way this would work is if we had the TAs that were committed to getting it done. And so the fact that we got there is really amazing. And I am just blown away by you guys and the work you put in. I've been following you on Twitter. I've been hearing from the other organizers, and it's just amazing. So thank you, TAs. Okay, next slide. All right, and here are the mentors. There are 245, I think, around the world. It's really exciting. I look at the list of names here, and I know a lot of them. And then there are lots of others that I don't know. And I just think to myself, wow, this is what community looks like. We have, you saw the map coverage before, and this is the people that are coming together. And so just a huge thank you to everyone who gave time to this program, who recognized that when the world was in a state of crisis, that we as a community could be there for each other. And that's really what made me feel amazing. And here are the people who were on the Q&A committees. And I just like to point out in this third row about the fifth name down, well, that's me. So you can thank me, I appreciate it. But along with me, there were a lot of other people who did, a pretty good job also. And I think that, from myself and from Tommy, hats off to you guys for spending your time and helping out in making this project a reality. Okay, let's go to the next slide. And this is where you guys are from. And you're from all over as well. And it's really exciting. I mean, when you look at conferences in neuroscience, I've been going to conferences in neuroscience for years, and you don't see this kind of coverage. You don't see this kind of diversity. And it really makes me excited. We had two goals with NeuroMatch. One was to fill the hole that conferences that were canceled, summer schools that were canceled because of COVID, the hole that was created by that. And then the other was to reach out even farther and build a more inclusive neuroscience. And I think that's what this looks like. So hats off to you guys. And yes, Greenland, Carl, we got to get Greenland on there. Okay. We recognize that a big part of this would be the social media outreach. And we built a team to do that. And they were fantastic. Grace, who was in her third trimester of pregnancy when she decided to sign up as our head of social media, which is a pretty crazy endeavor. And she ran most of this outreach, and then Helena took over, and we had just this incredible team. And you can see that, I mean, I'm a little bit upset. I'll just tell you why I'm a little bit upset. That's because the NeuroMatch Twitter account has way more followers than I do. So guys, if you want to do a solid for me and for Tommy, go follow me on Twitter. We'd both appreciate it. But yes, an amazing outreach team. And then when it comes down to it, what we knew that we wanted to do was we did not want to ask our TAs to volunteer their time, because that seemed like something that was unreasonable to do. And when we looked at our dreams and our hopes of having 2,000 students and 200 TAs, and we compared that with what we thought was a fair wage, which was, oh, am I on the wrong slide? No, it's okay. I'll wing it. When we looked at what we thought was a fair wage, which was going to be $500 a week, we recognized that we needed to raise a lot of money. And so we got moving, and we were able to do that. And I'll switch gears in a second, but you'll see our list of sponsors on the next slide. And the other thing that we wanted to do is we did not want to pay those TAs based on the tuition, because we wanted to make sure that inclusivity was maximized. And so we thought of what was a minimum a fee that was reasonable, which is $100 per participant, scaled based on cost of living around the world. But we also said that that fee was 100% waivable by anyone who asked, no questions asked. And so that allowed us to have all of the participants that we possibly could get involved. And if we go to the next slide, then these were the folks who really helped us out. So I had a great team. Look at Zach there in the bottom middle. We actually made him sell half of his hair for Neuromatch. So that's the kind of commitment that Tommy and I have asked for from the very beginning of our committee. And then these were the folks that were able to give us cash to support this project. And they spanned around the world, China, Europe, the States. They were both universities and private philanthropies. And then there were also corporations like Google, and then of course Facebook, that really stepped up and gave a substantial commitment because they're interested in promoting neuroscience and computational neuroscience in particular. So I think that's the end of my presentation. So thank you guys. Tommy says goodbye, and looking forward to next year.
Thank you, Sean. So I'll back up a little bit. When we first started this, we thought, oh, there might be like maybe 100 people, maybe a couple hundred people sign up. And, you know, it's going to be easy. We're just going to put like a few videos online and have a, you know, handful of TAs help us out, and we're all going to sail through. And as soon as we had the first Twitter poll, essentially, where the stage 1 application essentially, and asked who would be interested, we realized, oh, crap. We're like at least an order of magnitude wrong here. And that had some pretty profound implications. And essentially it meant that we cannot, as curriculum creators, for example, just jump into a particular day and jump into a pod and say like, oh yeah, sorry, there was some glitch here in the tutorial. This is how it actually works, kind of thing. What you typically do at a in-person summer school with like, you know, 20 or 40 people. So we quickly realized that we had to come up not just with a very coherent curriculum, but also with a very polished curriculum, so that you, the TAs in the audience here, would be able to actually help you, the students in the audience, to get through all that material without our direct help, because that would just physically not be possible. And so as a result of that, we essentially have worked hard to not just come up with good tutorials, but also really optimize the code. And the other aspect is that we wanted to make everything freely available. And you all know this by now, but that essentially meant that we also had to go through things like, you know, making sure that there's no copyright violations in both the lectures and the tutorials, et cetera, et cetera. And so essentially we had multiple ways of optimizing the content. The first one, as Patrick already mentioned, was essentially Base Day, where we had like this grandiose plan, and we thought, oh, let's just roll out one day just to test it. And we got lots of feedback, and the feedback essentially said, no, that sucked. You need to change it. And then we went back essentially to the drawing board. We're like, oh my God, like we have like no time left here. We cannot possibly change it. But we did. We changed everything. We then rolled out the full summer school, test ran the whole summer school, got lots of feedback back, and made changes again. So this was essentially the whole process. And you can imagine, based on what Patrick has told you, for example, how much work that was in the back end, because we had to essentially produce all the materials, produce all the videos, then we get all the criticisms, and then we have to like essentially build them up again and reproduce them. And that's what you saw. Okay, next slide. So in order to do this, we had like a whole team of people. And all amazing people that donated their time freely, of course. So we had first a very big curriculum committee in the middle here, and the curriculum committee essentially spent endless hours discussing which technique should be part of a particular day and which days would come in which order, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, we had like a really grandiose plan where initially we were going to cover, I think, at least 50% more materials, if not 300% 100% more materials, I'm not quite sure. And it got all hacked down and chopped down after we got all the feedback, because everyone essentially told us, you guys are crazy. There's no ways we can do that. Way too much material, take it all out. And some of you might think that there's still a lot of material and it's very dense in there right now. So feel lucky that you didn't see the materials from what we had planned. Okay, so then once we had the curriculum structure set up, we essentially appointed day heads, if you want. So these were people that were responsible for a particular day to make sure that the actual plan was carried out. So we had written down detailed plans for every single day, made sure that there's coherency across the days, that, you know, on day 5, when something was needed on day 5, that it was actually covered in the days before, or it had to be introduced on day 5, all these little things, right? And then the day chiefs essentially made sure that the material was actually produced, so both by the intro and outro lectures, but also the tutorial lectures and the tutorial content creators. And then you see on the right-hand side of the slide, you see essentially the list of all the amazing lectures we had for both the tutorials and the intro and outros. Next. Okay, so in order to, as I said, in order to provide to you the best possible and feasible and hopefully error-free tutorials, we had a whole team of people working on that. So first of all, there was a tutorial review. So this is what people essentially going through and essentially ripping the tutorials apart. Then we had the tutorial editors or waxers that essentially went through and made sure that every single part of the tutorial was polished as much as possible, and that's the name waxers. And then we had another team, as I said, that had to make sure that copyrights were observed, and that meant not just, you know, flagging the violations, and there was lots of those, but they actually also helped us quite a lot, redrawing graphs, redrawing schematics, etc., for which there was no easy copyright-free replacement. Next. So as a result of that, you have seen all the list of the huge list of videos that we have produced. These videos have all been cleaned, and as Patrick said, Tara was the head of that cohort of people. It was sort of like, it was not just a village, it was sort of like a whole tribe, it seemed. I think like Tara alone was responsible for over half of our Slack group that was essentially working on NeuroMatch Academy. So essentially what they did is they took the raw videos, you know, the ones where you might remember my very first intro right on the first day, and it, you know, it was all like fluid and everything, but you missed all the places where I was like, crap, do this again. And then I did it again and over, right? And things, and I'll spare you the swear words that were in there. So essentially the editors went through, cut them all out, made sure that they were the right duration, made sure that the captions were all there. And the captions, of course, you know, YouTube gives you automatic captions, but you can imagine what that does to scientific jargon. Made sure that everything was logically flown, uploaded, them to YouTube, made them available to YouTube, reinserted them into the tutorials for the tutorial lectures, etc., etc. You might also have seen that there's lots of comments, for example, or explanations in each individual video, also giving thanks to all the people that have contributed to that. That is all Tara's and her team's work. So thank you so much, Tara. Next. And as a result of that, you know, these videos have been viewed a little bit. A few people have looked at that. So apparently there was close to 15,000 unique viewers, according to the YouTube analytics, if you can trust them. We had something like close to 400,000 views, with a total watch time over 30,000 hours, which is sort of, I don't even know how much that is in terms of my lifetime. It's probably like more than or close to my lifetime or something like that. Anyways, and so this is essentially like a huge success for us, because that meant that we have provided meaningful and high quality materials that people enjoyed watching throughout the Academy. Next. Okay, so then on the weekends, we had some tremendous professional development series. No summer school should go without those. They're super important for us to grow as scientists. And so we had a whole series of panels talking about data sharing and management, open science, visualization, that was super cool, publishing, two philosophy discussions that were very inspiring, inclusiveness, career panels, etc., etc. And we also talked a little bit about how we actually built Neuromatch Academy, mostly from the technical side. And so if you want to know more about that, I invite you to go back to that. And by the way, if you want to watch anything again, it's all there online, all the Q&As, all the videos, of course, from the tutorials, intros, outros, but also the career panels and professional development components. Next. Okay, so Neuromatch Academy is more than just a summer school. We became a community, and you are part of the community. Here's a super outdated organogram of when we were like super young. I'm not quite sure what the timestamp exactly is of that. And we already had like quite a few people with complicated relationships based on what they were doing in Neuromatch Academy. Now this would not fit on a single slide, and it would be impossible to actually view. So from the organization side, we became a community. But through you, through our amazing TAs and you as amazing students, you're now part of that community. You're part of Neuromatch Academy. And essentially we try to sort of like get a feeling of how the community feels every day. And so you've filled in your daily reflections about that we have actually used and analyzed, and we will continue to use and analyze that. And of course in Twitter, like, and sorry, Sean, to rub it in here, but Twitter, we have like close to 7,000 followers now, and that's a fast growing number. And this is probably the best way to stay in touch with us, because we will post in the future about stuff coming up. Next. Okay, so we kind of think that history has been made, but we want to do more. Next. So Neuromatch Academy is over. Long live Neuromatch Academy. It's not over, because we will continue providing what we promised that we would provide, and that is matches. Now, one of the reasons we didn't provide them earlier is because you were already super busy during Neuromatch Academy, and we didn't really want to stick more stuff into your schedule, which was our original plan, but then we sort of stepped back from that. And so over the next week or so, you will essentially get matches by topic with fellow students and potentially also TAs, and also matches by location. If you, for example, want to start your local NMA chapter in person or virtually, don't go in person unless that's possible in your location, of course. And so this is a way to sort of like continue the experience, stay in touch, build collaborations, and elevate yourself as a scientist. Next. We also have plans to produce some form of texts that will be a little bit more comprehensive than the tutorials. So our and intros and outros, and for that we essentially envision converting each day's tutorials into a didactic paper that essentially walks you through in much more detail about the meaning and the reasoning, etc., of the tutorials. And we also have plans to bind everything together into a book that is sort of like the guide to computational neuroscience from the perspective of a perfect TA, or essentially like impersonating a perfect TA, telling you the story or telling you the techniques in the book that you have learned during the last 3 weeks. And I think with that, this is my last slide. I think this is my last slide potentially. So we also want to write up what we have learned as organizers. Putting Neuromatch Academy together at the beginning sounded like an easy thing, right? You just upload a bunch of tutorials and then you have some Zoom sessions or something like that. done, right? But it turned out to be much more complicated than that. If you want a tech overview, Patrick can tell you probably like hour-long stories about, ripping his hair out for many, many different reasons. So we want to essentially share the lessons we have learned with posterity, and through that potentially enable other fields or other communities to build similar endeavors than Neuromatch Academy. And that includes also writing up about how we get organized, team building, TA training, et cetera, how to build a community such as Neuromatch Academy. Okay, so I think this was my last slide. So with that, I'd like to thank you all again for being part of Neuromatch Academy. You've made my summer like super enjoyable despite all the stuff happening around the world. And I'm very, very proud of everyone, students, TAs, organizers. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Gunnar. So I guess it's my turn now. And I know that this is the very first and top question on everybody's mind, which is obviously you're going to go into withdrawal starting in about 45 minutes. And so clearly you're all very, very curious about whether there's going to be Neuromatch Academy 2021. And so here we've got a list of the countries that we hit this year. And on the next slide, we will show a list of the countries that we still need to get to. Next slide, please. So we've got a lot of work to do. And even though this wasn't all that much work to begin with, it was still too much work to do only once. And so obviously we're going to do this again. And so what I'd like to tell you about today is, or in the next couple slides anyway, is just what we're going to be doing over the next year to prepare for Neuromatch Academy 2021 and beyond. So basically the answer is yes, we're going to do this. We're going to start maybe not tomorrow, maybe like on Monday after we catch up on sleep a little bit. But the first thing that I want to do now is send out a plea to all of you. Tell your friends what your experiences were, and tell your friends to sign up for Neuromatch Academy 2021 next year. If you've got friends who are a little behind you or even a little ahead of you in grad school, everybody is welcome, just like this year. Also, please help us recruit experienced people to be lecturers and mentors and other faculty members, and maybe even some volunteer organizers. We're definitely going to need help with that next year too. And if you were a TA this year or you were a student this year, then maybe sign up to be a TA with Neuromatch Academy next year and join us that way as well. And we wanted to also give you a couple more concrete ways that you might be able to get involved. And so there's a lot of things that we know that we can do better. So as we prepare for Neuromatch Academy 2021 and we get you all excited to be a part of it and come in as TAs or get your faculty mentors involved and so on, we know there's also a lot of work that we have to do. So as everybody has said, we put this thing together in about 3.5 months. And I think it worked pretty well, but there's also some stuff that we didn't quite get right. And so this is where the reflections that you guys filled out every single day and those surveys that you guys filled out today, and that if you're a TA, you're also going to fill out those surveys for the TAs, please do that. We know that we need to make some changes in the curriculum. We need to make some changes in the tutorials. We need to make some changes in how projects was rolled out and the directions that you guys got and how that was all organized. And we also have some failures on the organizational side in terms of inclusivity. We didn't reach every country in the world. I'm looking at you, Greenland. We've got some work to do there. And so there's a lot of work here, and we think that we can do better. And so what I'm showing here before we move to the next slide is just a graphic that was built by our evaluation team. So we have this evaluation team that's helping us sort through all of this data that we collected. And it shows the relationship between prior knowledge in an area and the learning that you all reported in that area for every particular day and how much you enjoyed that day. And a lot of this is great, that you maybe had minimal or fair knowledge beforehand. You feel that you significantly or somewhat learned, and you got a lot or somewhat enjoyment out of it. And these are pretty good numbers overall, but we'd like that all to be in the enjoyment a lot category later. So please lend us your ideas, lend us your brains to help us make NeuroMatch Academy 2021 even better. And so to give you some concrete examples of how we can do that, we'll do this first. So first, regarding the evaluation team. So now, as I mentioned, we've got all these data that say how much you enjoyed it and how much you felt you learned and whether you thought the pacing was good or not. And all these comments that you guys wrote every single day, which by the way, some humans read every single day and used that to kind of curate the program throughout the last 3 weeks. But we've got all these data now and we need to do something useful with them. So while we do have an evaluation team, if you are actually interested in getting your hands dirty with some data analysis, let us know, and you can actually potentially be part of that team doing that analysis. So another way that you can get involved is Gunnar mentioned the book. So where we're writing these didactic papers, these technical papers, and we're going to bind them together into that TA in a box, perfect TA kind of book. So we've got a lot of work to do on the book. We need to make the intro and outro text coherent. We need to harmonize this. So if you were involved as a student or TA in NeuroMatch Academy, we want to hear from you about the feedback that you might want to provide on how to make this book the best that it can be in terms of a teaching tool and a resource for future years. So there's a lot of words that need to go into each chapter. And we've already got MIT Press kind of interested in this project. We've talked with them quite a bit. So if you want to be involved in this, let us know. Third way, we've also got some other fun data science projects for you. So as a reminder, we had 200 organizers, 250 mentors, 2,000 interactive students spread across 9 time zones where every one of those students and teaching assistants is choosing a preferred time zone, an acceptable time zone. We have to match the groups based on affinity scores between pairs of students and pairs of TAs and students. There's just a lot of stuff here that we need to optimize. And we did a great job this year, largely thanks to Patrick and to TittyPat and the other matching team. But of course, we can always do better. And so if you think that this is a very exciting problem and you would like to lend us your brain to solve this problem and find that global optimum for how to match people into pods the best way that we possibly can, let us know, and you can maybe get involved in that. And then the last task that I'll tell you about is, of course, starting on Monday, after we've all caught up on sleep a little bit, we want to start planning NeuroMatch Academy 2021. So in addition to the changes in the curriculum that we can make on the basis of the evaluation team feedback and so on, we also just want to hear from you guys directly. What should we add? What should we expand? What should we take away? Are there topics that were great and you definitely want them there? There were topics that maybe we should skip, topics that we totally missed out on and we want to actually include later. So there's a lot of ways that we really want to hear from you about how we can make NeuroMatch Academy 2021 even better than it was this year. And so here, this link, this bit.ly link, this is a call to action. This is a survey where you can go and you can fill out your information and say what you want to get involved in, and we will contact you. And I promise you, it will be much work, but that's okay. So the last thing that I want to say to you guys today is we love you all. We love this community that NeuroMatch Academy has become, this fantastic global community spanning continents and time zones and cultures and languages. It is truly astonishing to me to think back and look at April 4th or whatever it was when we first had these conversations, when we thought, oh yeah, let's put up some videos online. It'll be great. It'll be like really not that much work, but also just like not a big deal. It'll be fun. We'll get some people involved and they can give the videos, they can give the tutorials. And it turned into this amazing community. And so in addition to loving neuroscience, obviously, we also have so much love and respect and gratitude for our volunteers, for all of our teaching assistants and our lead TAs, for our students, our participants, everybody, and for anybody else here in the audience who is ever a part of NeuroMatch Academy in any capacity. Thank you, and stay in touch. Join us on that survey and get involved, please. And so now, as we roll the credits, this is my favorite thing. This is our credits, and then we can start bringing up some folks online here. Okay.
maybe just while we're waiting, there have been some questions and suggestions, all kinds of interesting ideas in the chat and also in the Q&A. If you could please either get engaged through what Megan just told us, or if you just want to drop the idea off with us and run away because it's going to be a lot of work, you can just put those into the exit evaluation, the exit what's it called, the exit survey, and we will go through those and we'll analyze those and we'll read those.
A human will read every single one, just like we did for the reflections.
Yes.
It is so amazing to see all of that work and all of the thanks and all of the people all in one place. I'm so glad we have a video record of this. Congratulations, everyone.
Panelists, put your name in the chat if we're trying to pull you all up as, I'm sorry, not organizers, put your name in the chat. We're trying to pull you all up as panelists.
Yeah, or raise your hand and we can see that too. And by raise your hand, I mean press the raise your hand button. There we go.
Hooray!
Finally.
Conrad's pink hat is perfect.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Hey, Zach.
Close to you, Zach.
Birthday.
Make your wish.
Cheers.
Happy birthday.
Can you guess? I'm not allowed to say it, right?
29.
I would have said 27.
No, 27 doesn't count. It's always 29. It never gets 30. It stays 29.
Eric, is that a leech on your head? What is that thing?
Yes, it's the Lisbon leech. Actually, it's a sardine. The patron fish of Lisbon. Well, not quite, but it's the official fish of Lisbon, and it's what we eat during the times when we would normally be out celebrating, which we couldn't do this year in June. And it's fantastic fun, and you should all come.
I want one of those.
Sean and I were in Lisbon not too long ago. We had some fun experiences.
We do know how to throw a good party here.
We had a good party there.
And if you guys like computational neuroscience, Cosine will probably be coming back, and CCN as well.
If there are
One
ever in-person conferences again.
Yes, if we ever get to be outside again together.
I don't think Americans will be able to travel out for some time.
No one's going to let us in.
Yeah, we're probably stuck here.
We're building the wall, right? So you guys will all be safe.
This is a much cheaper way of building a wall. We basically get them to not allow us to enter.
We always thought it was to keep everybody out, but now it's just to keep ourselves in.
This is the Mexicans will have to all pay for a wall.
To keep us out.
Yes.
All right.
This is
Did we
devolving.
get everybody? All the...
Well, I mean, I want to thank everybody. This has been amazing.
Yeah, John, can we turn off the share screen so we can see everybody's faces?
Yeah, turn off the share screen.
Thank you. Yeah, now
guys.
here we
There
are.
we go. Nice.
Hey,
How many do we
Madeline,
have right
and their
now?
partner.
Yeah.
Yes, hands.
This is applause.
And this isn't
Miriam.
even everybody, by the way, for anybody who's out there in the audience, this is like one tiny sliver. You remember all those faces on the slides?
This is the ones that managed to stay up.
Yeah, who managed to stay up or who are not completely zonked out or, you know.
The last people standing.
We need the kumbaya moment, Patrick.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So what can I say about Kumbaya? So first of all, thank you for. I want to give a special shout out to Conrad for his relentless enthusiasm and his optimism.
To you, Conrad.
Yes.
To you, Conrad.
And
thanks everyone. I always knew we were gonna make something magical together, and look at what happened. I mean, that was awesome.
Woohoo!
Where's patient 0 or subject 0?
Well, subject 0 is owned by the lab, and I haven't seen my lab in 4 months.
Oh.
It might be 5 months. It's been such a whirlwind with NMA.
Yeah, he's in Bangkok, actually.
It's probably true, yeah.
Force your students and postdocs to work for NeuroMatch in a way that borders on unethical?
Look, don't say anything here on stage. I might get into trouble.
Okay, we should do one last big thank you to all of the organizers. First off, thank you all for everything you've done.
You know what I wish we could do, guys? I just realized if like we'd planned this in advance, if we were secretly in the same room, we could pass.
I was like,
that would have been so awesome. We would have screwed people's minds so hard.
So many of us have black cats, and we were thinking of getting the cat passing.
Mine is just sleeping on back of me. Like, this little guy has been a part of every meeting and every work that I've done. Always
You
sleeping.
placed
My
him like a
supervisor
prop.
sometimes asks, does he wake up to eat?
Almas, can he be a TA next year?
We had virtual backgrounds, everybody, but fake, but we were in the same room. It would
Yeah.
never work.
Well, look, what else should we say? This has just been so
thank you to the
amazing, like-
students.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
I
you
was
to
gonna say, we
the,
should-
and to the
Students,
teaching
one last-
assistants,
all
and
of us, and the teaching
mentors,
assistants.
everybody.
Yes.
Thank you
Yes,
for trusting
mentors.
us with your summers for 3 weeks or more. Thank you for trusting us and for being with us and for being flexible and for being so enthusiastic and energetic. We can't do this without students and without teaching assistants. So thank you all for being part of this.
Especially teaching assistants. I mean, TAs, you were the ones running the show. We were just pretending, but you were the ones running the show. So thank you so much.
And to the students, no, they filled it with soul. They produced like crazy signs of like some animal in ways that I could never imagine would be possible.
That's
No,
really
it was incredible. It was incredible.
Yeah.
It's also renewed my faith in humanity. Thank you all.
Yes, thanks for saving us from COVID.
Yes.
It really has
the
been a
COVID
triumph of
doldrums.
will to make the impossible possible. I feel like when I came in at the beginning, it was to convince you guys that none of this would work.
I always got the opinion in all of our meetings that you were like, these people are off their rockers. That's kind of how I thought you were acting.
He's just humoring us.
What are we
And
going
we
to do
are.
tomorrow?
But it's great.
Oh,
Not
didn't
beyond
we have
I know.
stand up? Don't we have stand up tomorrow? We have stand up tomorrow, right?
All right, someone work on the agenda.
No.
And
been a
please keep
pleasure.
the
Yeah,
Slack
we need that,
messages up. I don't
energy.
want to wake up and see there's no message in the Slack group.
Uh,
That's so disappointing.
By the
Don't
way,
worry, there are gonna be many messages.
Don't worry.
But I don't think it's gonna end.
by the way, the attendee count is going down. I noticed from 250, it's dropping. I think everybody's like, okay, let these people talk to themselves on the stage. There's clearly nothing useful.
Fair
Okay,
enough.
who's going to talk about expectation maximization now? Come on.
No.
Well, I see somebody's saying we need a
I've got the
professional
slides.
development
Way to
session.
go.
Can we say one more plug to be like, if you want to be an organizer, let us know. Fill out.
It won't be much work.
Really not that much work.
It's
Not that much
nothing,
work.
not work at
Yeah.
all.
But
If
please
it's on
fill
a
it out if
t-shirt,
you
it's
wanna be
true.
involved.
Totally true. Totally. No
If we
one
wrote it
expects
down-
such a sentence before. No
No,
evidence.
but it's really not that much work because it's all fun.
That's the sleep
It
deprivation
was
talking.
fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
Great.
And it was just heartwarming. It was just so amazing. What can I say? It's just everything was so amazing.
Yeah, I think the most amazing moment I had, it was the email I got from Madagascar, from a female professor of math, that after I sent the email, she asked about the fees. And I was like, oh, I have never talked with anybody from Madagascar. That was, yeah, that was a happy moment. And unfortunately, we don't have students from Madagascar. I don't know what happened, but I hope next year we're gonna have.
But I think,
so
I think this
moments.
This is an example of, yeah, this is an example of one of the most amazing things to me, which was every time we thought it would be like really cool to do something, somebody would step up like Yoda did and try to figure out how we could get into every single country and make sure, you know, and like there was somebody for every one of those things. We've talked about them, but like, it's just amazing. Every time we didn't think about something, somebody would be like, oh, but I was actually thinking about that. I mean, it's incredible what happens when you bring all these people together. And
yeah, I'm very impressed how it can be that so many people with strong personalities, and we all know how scientists can be strong and have strong personalities, how we didn't fight like big fights or like big dramas and tragedies. And I think
we're family.
Yeah, family. We saw the common purpose.
The common purpose, yes.
And speaking of, I just need to talk over.
No, but I mean, I fight often with people, but yeah, it's impressive how many people.
Well, that's actually true. And that happened with the least tension ever.
Not only least tension, but so much love and like even more than usual. I don't know. It was the COVID. I don't know what was it, but I'm grateful.
Yeah, can I just add, because I saw it in the chat, just want to shout out that there are some people who were organizers before and really helped like at the beginning and were just visionaries. And we understand that not everyone can devote their every waking hour to an online summer school TA interactive thing that might work or might not. So just thank you to everyone who contributed what you could.
Yeah, big or small, every little bit made this happen.
Every little bit.
Every little bit made this happen.
Yes. Every little idea, even if it didn't work, I sent someone a message. Let me add you, and said, how can? But I didn't do anything. Even the little thing, the little idea that even that didn't work, it was time offered and energy. So this is appreciated.
So did we get a final count to the best of our ability of the number of quote organizers who were involved in the NeuroMatch Academy?
We're working on it.
Now we have about 150.
We're working on it.
We must have a lower bound, right? What's the lower bound?
150.
Okay, so I have to comment on something in the chat. Someone pointed out that the ISIS orbits every 90 minutes, and so we have to figure out what time zone they're in, and then see if we can get somebody from there. Maybe they could give a lecture.
I like it.
No, we can do it. We can set up
of time
specifically for them.
Seriously?
It's good.
You know, if we start out right now, I bet we could get a lecture from one of them. I bet we could.
Yeah, I like it. Zone 4. That's good. Someone said Zone 4.
By the way, for people who keep emailing and asking us when we're going to take the materials down, the answer is never.
Never.
I keep getting emails about that, and the answer is always the same. Forever! Exclamation.
Well, Brad, we're putting the paywall up pretty soon, though, right?
That's it. I'm out.
We're gonna double the prices as soon as this is over.
Yeah, we're doubling the price. That's right. We're doubling the price. In 2 days, we're doubling the price.
until GitHub breaks, until we break GitHub again.
Again.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that. We broke the internet, what, 2 or 3 times?
Oh yeah, Alexander has a good idea in the chat. Should we have an ICO to fund NeuroMatch in perpetuity?
Oh, that's the mission.
NeuroCoin.
Well, as Sean pointed out, we're
so
slowly losing people.
I think about that time.
Yeah, maybe it is.
We just can't let go. We're just having too much fun, it seems.
Yeah.
But we just have to see them all next year.
At the end.
But it's not over. Did you not listen to Megan, what she just said, with all the work we have to do?
No, we have so much work to do, guys.
I think
we have so much work to do.
I remember somebody promising that we were going to have a survey ready on Monday, which seems like it's less than the amount of time I'm supposed to be sleeping between now and then.
Yeah, we'll do that. Remember, every time we thought we were going to do
TAs
something
you may not
impossible,
get.
we made it happen.
Or they may do the survey Monday. We may work on it Monday, they'll do it Tuesday. It's okay.
All right,
It was
guys.
a pleasure to meet you and work with all of you.
Likewise.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, it has been a pleasure. All you in the audience still, all you organizers who are not here, all you students and TAs, everybody who's asleep around the world right now. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be part of this with you.
Bye, guys. Come back next year and help us out. Not much work.
Go NMA.
Yay!